So you sent over that really interesting piece from When Shift Happens about Pedro Gomes, founder of WalletConnect.
Yeah, it's a great read. Really gets you thinking.
It really does. And it sort of crystallized a question for us, didn't it? About, where crypto wallets are actually heading.
Mm-hmm. Like, are we going towards these separate little walled gardens or something more connected?
Exactly. So that's our mission for this deep dive, really. Let's unpack the big ideas from Pedro's conversation, see what it tells us about the future.
For sure. And Pedro Gomes, I mean, he's right at the center of this, Wallet Connect.
Yeah.
It's that tech layer letting your wallet talk to
The
dApps.
decentralized apps, yeah.
Right. And the numbers are just, wow, 45 million users.
And what was it, 275 million connections?
Over 275 million, yeah. It just shows how vital that connection piece is.
Definitely. And he frames it right away, that core tension. Walled gardens versus, well, an interconnected ecosystem.
Which is the big question.
Okay, so let's dig into his central mission then. Making crypto wallets work together. Interoperability.
Sounds simple, but it's pretty fundamental.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because he points out this risk, right? If wallets don't talk to each other, you get monopolies.
Yeah.
A couple of big players controlling everything.
Which, I mean, that's the opposite of what crypto is supposed to be about, isn't it? That whole decentralization idea?
Exactly. And here's where he flips the script, which I think is really insightful, this paradox he talks about.
Oh, yeah, the market share thing.
Normally, you want to grab all the market share you can, right? Especially for a startup.
Keep it all for yourself.
But Pedro argues that by sharing it, by letting wallets connect easily,
The whole pie gets bigger.
right, the entire market grows, so everyone actually benefits in the end. A rising tide lifts all boats,
That's a really key concept for understanding the Web3 potential, I think.
Definitely. And Wallet Connect is the practical example of this. It's the open source protocol doing the connecting.
The connective tissue, as they say. And open source meaning the code's out there for anyone. Yeah, public. Anyone can use it, build on it. It's what lets you take your favorite wallet, whatever brand it is, and use it securely with tons of different dApps.
It doesn't matter who made the wallet or who made the app.
Exactly, like a universal adapter, maybe? Or translator?
For translators, good?
Yeah.
For the crypto world?
And Pedro emphasizes it's not just code. It connects people, too.
How so?
Well, the teams building this stuff, the engineers, the marketers, designers, Wallet Connect kind of forces or encourages them to work together across different companies, fosters collaboration.
Right, it bridges those gaps.
Yeah.
Okay, now this next bit was pretty mind-bending. His question about identity.
Ah, the passport versus the blockchain address. Yeah.
He asks, if your blockchain address holds all your critical financial info, salary, investments, maybe tax stuff eventually.
Could it become more fundamental, more you, than your national passport?
It's a wild thought, but it makes you think about digital identity in a completely new way.
It really does. If your economic life lives there, securing it and accessing it becomes paramount. Who controls that identity? Big questions.
And Pedro's own story is fascinating, too. He didn't exactly plan all this.
No, not at all. He calls himself a non-engineer.
Right. He was building a wallet, but for ATMs back in 2017.
Yeah, totally different focus.
Yeah.
Then he demos this side project, basically Wallet Connect, on
I know,
Twitter.
by accident.
And boom, huge interest. Then the Ethereum Foundation grant comes through.
Which was obviously pivotal.
Absolutely. But then he had to evolve, right? From just the tech side to learning, well, everything else. Business, legal, marketing, partnerships.
I liked his take on business development, too.
Oh, yeah. The mediating between companies.
Yeah, mediating to solve shared problems. That really frames his whole collaborative approach, doesn't it?
It perfectly sums it up. And that collaboration focus is why he's so wary of centralization creeping back in.
He uses those examples from the internet's history, things we've all seen.
Like email. Started decentralized.
Then Google becomes dominant. Gmail everywhere.
Or social media, lots of platforms. Then Facebook just takes over.
And he sees that potential pattern with crypto wallets. MetaMask was the standard for a long time.
Right, but now you see others rising, like Phantom, often because they're easier to use or people trust them more.
That's the convenience factor he warns about.
Exactly. People naturally drift towards easy. It's human nature.
But the risk is?
We just end up rebuilding the old systems. He literally says, we keep reinventing banks and Facebook if we centralize crypto wallets.
Wow. That's a stark warning.
It is, and his answer is that collaboration, sharing that infrastructure, that's how you avoid it.
Which brings us back to open source and these technical standards he champions.
Yeah, he sees standards as this like perfect middle ground.
Technical enough for the engineers.
But they only work if different companies actually agree and cooperate. They're trust bridges, he calls them.
Trust bridges. I like that. They only stand up if competitors align.
And his self-description is pretty funny but strategic.
The mediocre engineer plus mediocre BD guy.
Yeah, it equals the perfect standards guy. Because his whole focus is finding that common ground, the shared interest. It's quite diplomatic, really.
It is. Now, the temptation for any startup, obviously, is to keep your tech secret, right? Build a closed system.
Standard playbook for competitive advantage.
But Pedro argues against that strongly. He thinks open ecosystems just win faster.
And that closed systems get outdated super quickly in this space because innovation moves so fast.
So what's the real lasting value then, if not the secret code?
The customer relationship. That's what he believes.
Ah, okay.
He uses that analogy. Blockchains are the trust machines, the base layer.
Right, decentralized trust.
But wallets, they're the customer relationship layer. And that layer, he insists, has to stay open and collaborative.
That makes a lot of sense. Ties it all together.
And he extends that thinking to leadership as well.
What does he say there?
That you can't really scale trust directly in a huge organization, but you can scale relationships.
Interesting. How?
By emphasizing that every single employee is basically in a direct relationship with the users. It's not just the support team or the CEO.
Everyone represents the project.
Exactly. And he points out that the really strong crypto brands now, they're often founder-led, very community-driven. That relationship focus is key.
Build loyalty, build community through connection.
Mm-hmm. Genuine connection.
Okay, and wrapping up his core message, he has a pretty clear call to action for anyone serious about crypto.
Yeah, it's blunt but important. Learn self-custody.
Take control of your own assets.
He mentions cold wallets like Trezor as the way to truly own your crypto. It boils down to that classic saying.
Not your keys, not your coins.
Precisely. It brings you back to that core principle of empowerment. Might take a bit more effort, a bit more learning.
But that's real ownership in this space.
Absolutely.
And those analogies he used were really helpful for getting these ideas across.
They were great.
Comparing wallets to dream cars, selling aspiration, brand.
Yeah, different models for different tastes, but all needing roads to drive on.
And WalletConnect as that diplomacy protocol.
Perfect description. Getting competing nations or wallets to agree on rules of engagement.
And the blockchains as the base trust machines.
Really helps visualize the different layers.
So pulling it all together then, the main takeaway for everyone listening after diving into Pedro Gomes' thinking
is that the future of crypto really hangs on interoperability, on open collaboration.
Resisting that pull, that gravity towards centralization, seems critical. Embracing shared infrastructure instead.
Yeah, that's vital for the whole ecosystem's health. And WalletConnect is, exhibit A of how that open source foundation can work.
A powerful example for sure.
Making Web3 potentially more connected, more useful for all of us.
We end where he ended, really. That final thought about self-custody.
If you're really in this space, understanding and doing self-custody is, well, it's fundamental for true ownership.
Which leaves us with a couple things to chew on, doesn't it?
Yeah, like thinking about what Pedro said, what does true ownership actually mean to you now in this digital world?
That's a big one. Or maybe, how would your own experience change? If all these different wallets and apps just work together seamlessly, what would that unlock?
Really interesting questions to ponder.
Definitely food for thought. Well, thanks for digging into this with us today.